The Unfiltered View. The silence was the loudest thing Sierra had heard in years. It was a high desert silence, vast and clean, broken only by the wind whistling over the Utah canyons. She'd traded the shriek of Chicago's L train for this, her corner office for the driver's seat of a 1998 camper van she'd christened The Wanderer. 3 weeks ago, she'd been Sierra Reyes, corporate strategist on the fast track. Now she was just Sierra, and she was terrified. Her entire life had been a checklist: good grades, good college, good job. She'd completed it, only to find the prize was a profound emptiness. This van, this terrifying silence, was the first thing she'd ever chosen for herself. The ghost of that emptiness had a name, Mr. Henderson. She could still see him 2 months ago, at the head of a glass-walled boardroom, dismissing the project she'd poured her soul into. "Not quite the direction we're heading, Reyes," he'd said, not even looking up. That night, a video call with her parents was the final straw. "A master's degree, Sierra? Your sister just made junior partner," her mother had said, her disappointment neatly framed by the pixels on the screen. They saw her life as a competition with a sibling she adored, a race she didn't even want to run. Van life, she was discovering, wasn't all picturesque sunsets. It was also mysterious engine noises, questionable gas station coffee, and a loneliness so sharp it felt like a physical ache. One night, huddled under a blanket, she scrolled through Instagram, a masochistic ritual. She landed on a page, Nomad Asher. Sun-kissed and smiling, this guy lived in a flawlessly renovated van, his life a curated feed of mountaintop yoga and artisanal campfire meals. His latest post was geotagged just 50 miles from where she was parked. The next day, she pulled into the recommended campsite, and there it was, the sleek cedar-paneled van from the photos. And there he was, Asher. He was even more handsome in person, with an easy smile that made her forget the ache of loneliness. He was trying to fix a solar panel, his brow furrowed in concentration. When he saw her, the frown vanished, replaced by a grin that felt like sunshine. "Engine trouble?" he asked, jumping down with a grace that seemed unfair. His voice was as warm as his smile. She found herself telling him everything: the job, the pressure, the feeling of being an imposter in her own life. He listened, truly listened, his hazel eyes focused on her as if she were the only person in the vast desert. He diagnosed her engine's rattle in minutes, his confidence as soothing as his voice. One day of traveling together turned into a week. It was a dizzying, romantic blur. They hiked to a hidden oasis, skinny-dipped in a crystal-clear pool, and told each other secrets under a blanket of stars so bright it felt like you could touch them. With Asher, Sierra felt like the person she'd always hoped she could be, adventurous, free, and completely captivating. But then she started noticing the work behind the magic. The spontaneous morning coffee took an hour to stage, the mugs and books arranged just so. The candid laughter was often on its fourth take. One afternoon, he grew genuinely angry when she accidentally cast a shadow on his shot of a wildflower. "Sierra, this is a key post for my sponsorship deal," he'd snapped, his face tight with a stress that seemed at odds with his carefree brand. The next morning, she woke up to a flurry of notifications on her phone. He'd posted a stunning photo of her, silhouetted against the sunrise. The caption was a beautifully written, slightly embellished version of the story she'd told him about quitting her job. "Watching the brave at wandering rays chase her own sunrise has inspired me so much," it read. The comments poured in, praising him for his insight and vulnerability. She felt her personal story had been harvested for content. "Why would you post that without asking me?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. They were standing between their vans, the morning sun casting long shadows. He looked genuinely confused. "Babe, it's what people connect with. It's authentic. It's our story now. She stared at him, a cold realization dawning. He didn't see a line between their life and his feed. To him, they were one and the same. The argument escalated until the truth finally spilled out of him, raw and desperate. His parents, tech millionaires from Palo Alto, funded his entire nomad lifestyle. The sponsorships barely covered his gas. They wanted me to go to law school, he said, his voice cracking. This was my rebellion. But now, it's just a different kind of pressure. I have to keep it perfect, or I lose everything. He was living in a cage, just like she had been. His was just better decorated. That night, he fell asleep early, exhausted from their fight. His phone buzzed on the small table between them. A text message lit up the screen. It was from Chloe Redheart. The preview was enough. Did the Sierra Post get the engagement numbers we needed for the North Face deal? Sierra's blood ran cold. She picked up the phone. It wasn't locked. She scrolled through months of messages. Chloe wasn't just his girlfriend. She was his business manager, his strategist. Their entire relationship, every shared secret, had been a narrative. She moved like a ghost, packing her few belongings in the dark. She didn't write a note. What was there to say? She started the van, the engine's rumble sounding like a roar in the silent night. As she pulled out of the campsite, she glanced in her rearview mirror and saw his perfect van, a beautiful, hollow shell. She drove until the sun came up, the white lines of the highway blurring through her tears. She drove until she ran out of road, money, and tears, ending up in a dusty speck of a town in Arizona called Canyon Creek. She traded her last $100 for a week's rent on a tiny room and got a job waitressing at the town's only diner, the Dusty Spoon. She deleted Instagram. She deleted everything. She just wanted to be invisible. Invisibility, it turned out, was surprisingly comforting. She learned the regulars' orders. She talked to Maria, the diner's owner, a woman with a laugh like rolling thunder and hands that were never still. She met Leo, the quiet mechanic who fixed the Wanderer's persistent oil leak and refused to overcharge her. These connections were slow, unglamorous, and deeply real. She picked up her camera again, but she didn't shoot the epic landscapes. She photographed Maria's flour-dusted hands kneading dough. She captured the intricate web of wrinkles around a rancher's eyes. She took a picture of Leo, laughing, with a smudge of grease on his cheek. She was capturing souls, not scenery. One day, a customer left a newspaper behind. On the front of the lifestyle section was a picture of Asher. The headline read, "Nomad King's Empire Crumbles Amid Allegations of Deceit." The article detailed how other women had come forward. He'd lost his sponsorships. His follower count was in freefall. She saw a thumbnail of his latest post, a tearful, black and white apology video. She just felt a quiet sadness for the boy in the gilded cage. That evening, her sister called. Sierra braced herself for an "I told you so." Instead, Jessica's voice was soft. "I saw the news about that guy. I'm so sorry, Sai. And I'm proud of you for leaving." The words were so unexpected, so powerful, that Sierra had to sit down. It was the beginning of a bridge back to her family, one built on her terms. Leo invited her to the town's annual chili cook-off. It was held in the dusty town square, a chaotic, joyful mess of folding tables, mismatched chairs, and terrible country music. No one was trying to get the perfect shot. They were just living. As Leo handed her a bowl of his surprisingly good chili, she felt a sense of belonging that no curated campsite could ever offer. She started a new Instagram account, at Canyon Creek Portraits. She didn't promote it. She just posted her photos of the townspeople, with short, simple stories about them. It wasn't about building a brand. It was about bearing witness to the quiet dignity of ordinary lives. Maria showed the account to a friend who owned a small gallery in a nearby tourist town. The owner, a chic woman named Evelyn, drove to Canyon Creek, ate a piece of Maria's pie, and offered Sierra a solo exhibition. Sierra's hands shook as she said yes. Opening night was a blur. The entire town of Canyon Creek seemed to be there. And then she saw them, her parents and Jessica, standing awkwardly by the door. Her father walked up to her portrait of Maria. "I never understood what you were looking for," he said, his voice thick. "But looking at this, I think I finally see." He hugged her, and it felt like coming home. Leo was there, of course. He wasn't a man of many words. He just walked through the gallery, looked at every single photo, and then came back to her. He took her hand. "You see people right, Sierra," he said. It was the highest compliment she had ever received. Just as the crowd was thinning, the gallery door opened again. It was Asher. He looked different, thinner, and without the practiced charisma. He looked tired. He walked right up to her. "I came to say I'm sorry," he said, his voice quiet and devoid of performance. "For everything. You were right. I didn't know who I was without an audience. I'm trying to figure it out now." "I hope you find him," she said, and she meant it. There was no anger left, only a faint echo of pity. She was a different person now, stronger and more grounded. The girl who had been hurt by him didn't exist anymore. He gave a small, sad smile, nodded, and walked out of her life for good. Later that night, Sierra and Leo sat in the back of the Wanderer. Its doors opened to the cool desert air. The gallery was dark, her photos waiting inside. She hadn't been searching for a perfect sunset or a viral location. She had been searching for a feeling, the feeling of being truly seen. She'd had to get lost to find it. Leaning her head on Leo's shoulder, she looked out at the stars. She wasn't wandering anymore. She was home,